Well, welcome everybody. So, you're here for the title, but you're also here for what the title implies. So, if you want the unboxing, feel free to zoom ahead. But those of you that are here for controversy, you can pump the brakes right here. That being said, I'll explain my piece. So, largely, just because this topic cannot be ignored, I'm just going to have to say either this will be my last video ever on this channel. Thanks for watching. Or this will be the beginning of a new career founded by, let's write it down. Now, this is not a sponsored video, and I don't know who I'm going to end up shilling for, but should this be received positively in the algorithm, which I don't care for, this is likely going to happen, but it shouldn't. Now, that being said, thank you for sticking around if you're still at this point. But again, this is just something that cannot be ignored. So let's get right to it. Is it real? I left out a word there, but maybe you caught that. I'm spelling it wrong. Better. This is the goy part of the video. So let's call a spade here. If you are upset about the nature of things in relation to Palestine, I got some bad news. And unfortunately, it's the kind of bad news that I'm going to have to prove. And this will be by Google Maps. And let's see if we spell it correctly first off. Okay, cool. It brought up the flag. We love flags. That's going to come in the later part of the video, which is going to have a visceral reaction, let me tell you. All right. Have you ever seen Palestine? Have you ever seen Palestine? Kind of hard to find because it doesn't say it, right? I mean, there's a whole lot of things going on in the West Bank, but typically speaking, when you have a nation, it usually says the name of the nation. Hence the issue. We might be too late. Okay? Let's just call it what it is. All right. They got a head start in like the 1940s. And unfortunately, the way that social media culture works, you get outrage 70 years later, 80 years, 80 years, 85 years. Guys, I think we ought to throw in the towel. Whatever your issue is with the state of America today, as far as you could go from pronouns to um, the quantitative letters that I believe qualifies as a password. Let me see if I could get it. Nope, I didn't get it right the first time because ended up guessing it. So yeah. So if this is your deal right here, okay, again, a password, and amongst any other things, the economy. I should probably write that down too. When I say economy, I mean that economy and other issues that you could think of. I mean, I'm not gonna make the video entirely on this topic, but if you get where I'm coming from, we got other fish to fry. You know, there's other things that we should concern ourselves in local elections and not so local elections, as long as it's within the country. So, you know, it is what it is. It's where it was made. And I don't want to say politics aside, because again, that's the big what if, when and why. But is it the most important thing? That's why I wish to kind of push back on a little bit and say, like, you know what? I'm gonna evaluate this on the merit of what the product does for me, set aside where it comes from, of which I don't really have a personal beef about it, but I might end up kissing a wall later, depending on how far this goes. I'm not trying to be like Alex Jones, man. You see what they did to him. But let's get to the unboxing, okay? Thank you for sticking around this long if you did, and if you skipped over, you're smart. All right, so this is the box set itself. Don't mind the scuffs here. It came with tape that was with my invoice paperwork for when it got shipped from Miami to. I know it was shipped from Miami, but we all know where it was really shipped from. And it got shipped to my FFL. So, that being said, opens like a regular box, but no pagers in here. If you know, you know. So, we got a bag in a box. Woohoo! So, can't say I've had one or the other, like, first time I had both. So, let's get the other thing out the way, the shekels. I mean, sorry, the price. The price. So, I ended up at 640. That's on the site, not web, because YouTube thinks that they're in the business if you mention websites. I was like, come on. You think? Okay, no, there was that one time I actually did get it through YouTube in the comment section, but we're not going to talk about that right now. So here you go. It actually smells nice, which is weird. Hopefully, it's not, the kids. We got our own problems with children here. Roe v. Wade and all that. Hopefully, I said that loud enough that you could hear, but not so loud that you could hear it. Algorithm. But let's check the little pocket. Anything in the little pocket? Nothing in the little pocket. All right. No ashes. See, I'm just black. All right, let me stop. I'm having a little too much fun with this. So here you go. I guess these are for your magazines. Right here. And of course we have our bicycle lock. They should really, we all have so much of these. Maybe we should just donate it to the hood where bikes get stolen. I'm sorry, just a random thought. But at least this one is actually branded under Bull. Well, now I say that, I think the one I have from Mossberg is yellow for this one. So at least it color coordinates. Okay. if you care about that sort of thing. Let's see here. Okay, I want to save the controversial thing for even past the gun, but I'm gonna have to go through it first. Yeah, there is a controversial thing here. All right, so let me make sure I'm not doxing myself here. So, Bull Armory encourages you to join GOA with a particular discount here. That's pretty cool. They cut in the annual membership here for 20, life membership for 900. I have to think about that. I mean, they are a no compromise organization, and I'm not sure if I actually do follow them on social media. I know I follow Clint Morgan that works with them. So, at least for being an activist, I mean, I'll say this is going to a good cause. I hear nothing but good things about GOA as far as fighting for our Second Amendment rights. And I will have to consider that because not so much that I'll be worried about where my 20 or $900 is going, but even more so, can I get a T-shirt? Can I get some merch? A hoodie? A bull hoodie? You know, I'll think about that later or research it a bit. Okay, cleaning supplies, sweet. We're pulling a somewhat of a canic here, but let me not let it slip out real quick. Let me just put that down there. All right. This is the first time I actually had the barrel block that was outside of the barrel, or chamber lock. Sorry, that was outside the chamber. But you know what? The inside of this is actually like too nice to ignore right now. So I'm emptying everything else out so I can actually show you the interior of this. Where it's like this now has no reason to be this soft and felt like. So even though yeah, you know it's cheap, but it still is a good presentation at the very least, right? So it's kind of weird to see it from this standpoint of something that is in the $600 range, at least from what I've had lately. But pretty good case. Now let me go ahead and I'm still gonna push this off because there's one thing that came with it that even threw me off. Only because I had to open it when I got to the FFL and I was like, I'm not touching that until I get home. You'll see in a moment. All right, so here we go with the owner's manual. Here you go. Nice print on it. This is the most expensive just pistol purchase I've made. Even though I have had others, excuse me, I've had others at the 600 range before. But so far, the presentation refinement here is blowing the other two out the water, which is, if you're curious, it was, well, one of them was a used one, but it was a Smith & Wesson with a threaded barrel, and the other one was my SIG 226. But now those are worth like gold, or they have aged like gold, or I should probably stop talking about gold. Okay. Your normal things are here. They go over nomenclature, responsibility, the exploded drawing of the Axe C in this case. Loading, firing, that jazz. Let's see here. Unloading and safety checks, disassembly. Perfect. So, and the optic ready system, as well as the 1-year warranty agreement, which is interesting because I was not expecting it to be 1 year. So I better go out and use this thing. Amongst with the personal record on the limited warranty. So I'll fill that out in a moment, or at least in my own time. Don't worry about that. And the warranty for coating is valid for 6 months for the original owner only for defects. So, and the warranty is not transferable to any other person but the original buyer. So, the 3,000-year jokes and the inheritance jokes. Let me stop. Again, I'm going to end up having too much fun on the side and probably in the comment section alone. I don't want to ban anybody this time around, but it's like, man, sometimes people ask for it. I mean, literally, they do ask to be banned. I kid you not. I've had that happen. So here's your cleaning tools here. And let's get the patch tool out. It's for swapping your patches. Good, all nice and handy. This one is like, doesn't feel plasticky. It's like dang near steel. If not, it might be steel. Like, unusually good quality. I have to say that the reputation for Bull is of quality. So I'm pretty sure, got a patch here. There might be a second one behind it. I'm almost scared to find out if it is a second one. That I'm going to be repping something. Nah, I'm not sure if I should rep. No, okay, never mind. It's just a back in towards it. Got a plate here. So I was actually under the impression that these were direct mounted, but I mean, the plate's a plate. That's fine by me. Very Miami-esque sticker. That's pretty cool. I will give them that. Okay, let me just set this aside real quick. All right. And the controversy. Oh boy, the controversy thing. Why did they give this? OMG. This is probably going to end up being the thumbnail. We'll see if they allow it. I mean, they didn't even put this side up inside the part of the case where it was sitting. It was like, blew my mind when I first opened this, and it was just like that. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. We are trying to turn things around before all the boomers disappear that have always been, favorable. Not so much of my millennial generation, and definitely not the Zoomers. So this is like, no joke, cracking me up. So yeah, leave your comments on that alone. Like, matter of fact, I want this to be in the thumbnail so bad, I want to step out and make sure that YouTube catches it. I'm almost speechless. Almost. I told a friend about it and I sent her a photo of it and she got mad immediately. So, well, also, that's a liberal. Leave that alone. I know what you're thinking. I know liberals like guns too. It's crazy. All right. Stop it. I know what you're thinking. All right. I'm actually going to go backwards here. It did come with 2 magazines and some baggies here. It's like, don't want it to be sullied. Don't get this mixed up with your Magpuls and even your Glocks. Now, we'll say the wings on this is actually what the first thing that stood out. This is my first time actually getting it out the bag, but immediately on the base plate, the wings on it is pretty cool design on the bull. So pretty good. Like, nice way to stand out. So again, you get 2 of them. It's better if you get 3, which is like, the state of the industry. But that's okay. Um, I have all types of Glock specific mags, as everyone should, really, to be honest, especially if you're dealing with full size. All right, and the piece de resistance. Now, because my FFL had to check it, they actually kept it in the plastic still. So let me find out about this tag over here. Mishandling this may cause injury to you, or the other DEAF, and also the other one with TH. But yes, so before handling this, you must read, understand, and follow the instructions in the manual. And we recommend seeking professional advice and training from a qualified instructor. If you are unsure of the correct and safe handling of this firearm, I am reading this and making a joke in my mind as I read it. By removing this tag, you acknowledge that you have read and understood the instruction manual and all safety procedures regarding safe firearm handling. This thing was definitely written by a lawyer, and the lawyer's name probably ended in Goldstein or Berg or Child. This is frying me. Like, I can't even right now. I'm gonna have to pause and just get this thing off and uh, make sure that I abide by all the regulations by the chosen people. Hang on. All right. Well, the tag is broken, and well, you didn't see it on the camera, so maybe I'm not liable just yet. Let me stop messing around. Here we go. Let's get this out. Now, unfortunately, this is the second time I handled it because, again, the first time I had to inspect it. But again, you'll get a decent second experience for me on this. And excuse me, I don't know why it's bothering me, but it's like, I guess it's the fresh smell of it. But it smells like oil, at least from like more so than any other unboxing that I've done. So here we go in all her glory. So the first thing I'll tell you that came to mind, and the only thing I did do was actually hold it upright, and the texturing, perfect. I love an aggressive texture. I tend to have a little bit of softer hands, but dang, this is very aggressive. This is going to end up leaving a mark, as you could probably tell there at least. And I like that. This is very M&P like for me. This is exactly why I use the extra large texture from the M&P, and way more aggressive than my saddle systems. Like, not even close. It's not even the same league. Um, Out the box, this is most definitely the most aggressive grip texture that I've had, and I love it. I love it. Like, I can't get enough of that. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about it since the time that I had to inspect it and just held the grip and looked at it, and I was like, "Holy crap! I am regretting my M&P purchases." In retrospect, they're not going anywhere, but just the way that this came out the box, and I'm like, "Yeah, this is it." Like, I was nervous that it might be too aggressive for me, but nope, this feels perfect because it's also at the 1911 grip angle, so which is my favorite. Never heard anything much of a complaint. I don't have. I've never read any complaint on the 1911 grip angle. Gloss grip angle, whatever. Okay, so we got an undercut here. That feels good. I could fool with the magazine as long as they didn't give me any bullets, which they didn't. Boo hoo. And let's just, you know, does it look as greasy as it looks to me? I'm not sure if you can see it a little bit there from the reflection, but yeah, this is just remarkable how it looks. You know, my impression of Bull Armory from a distance has always been, man, they don't really make firearms. They make like firearms jewelry, if that makes sense. Like it's kind of like they make some flashy like 2011 type stuff, 1911 stuff. But I never really thought much about the polymer side of things. But now in hand, it's like I almost feel like it's a bit untouchable, a bit. So, you know, you know what? I'm not kissing that wall. I'm not waving that flag. But I got to give credit where credit's due, and I'm pretty impressed so far just from the feel alone. So let's. Okay, that's slick. All right. So let's look at one of the magazines real quick. So might be one of the more slick setups that I felt. I'm still trying to conceive in my mind if it feels as not tight. What am I thinking here? The word I'm looking for is well, yeah, tight tolerance. If it feels the same as the or similar to my Shadow Systems DR920, which got me a lot of hate. Like people really hate Shadow Systems. When I talk about Shadow Systems, I didn't ask to hear about your Glock. Rant aside, here's how it looks with the magazine on it. So plenty of space here to yank it out should any type of malfunction happen there. And for the life of me, I couldn't find anything about someone manipulated with the trigger, with at least the gold version on here. Seen plenty of videos with the red one, but this might be your first look at the one here on the FS, not the Pro. I did not want the ported barrels. And personal thing for me, I don't mess with anything with ported barrels because of wrong finger, but not bad. Whatever. No pinky ring. Stereotypes are stereotyping so hard right now. I'm sorry. But either with ported barrels, it's either the reliability and the cleaning factor of how dirty it gets that I stayed away with it. I've come across so many M&P 2.0s with the ported barrel and their performance center series that I just stay away from it. Just not for me. But open slides, cool. That works. I got a Beretta 92. Love that design. So at least just looking at it just as a whole, it definitely just looks like a worked over Glock 17, which is fine. Now, I'll say this from the onset. Between the controversy between this one and my Shadow Systems, I was actually thinking about doing a mismatch and making either a Shadow Axe or a Bull Systems, whichever sounds cooler. But this is making me reconsider that altogether. But let me go ahead and actually just start manipulating it. Okay. It's not that there's so much of an issue with the grip angle, but it feels like when I'm inserting it, yeah, now I'm definitely, it almost feels like I'm still inserting it in the way that I would a stock Glock, which is kind of weird, but it definitely has a different angle to it. But this would actually require like its own, like, I have to practice that a lot. Now, as far as the ejection goes, not bad. No issues there. But very interesting. I wonder how it'll feel with different magazines. You know what? Let me go ahead and pause you and grab one of my Magpul magazines real quick. Okay, I'm back. with the Magpul magazine. Not going to rack the slide since it comes from my um, daily carry, but it feels fine. Like, drops freely. Inserts pretty good. Feels natural for something that's already weighted. So can't say I have any issues there. Just comparing it back to back with the Bull one. So yeah, I think it might just felt a little bit weird to me just from practicing with the shadow systems, but yeah, we're good there. No problem. So we'll skip the optic plate for now because I'm just gonna end up cutting and putting all my accessories together so that you can see kind of a final result there. Sorry for the long-winded video, but that's how my unboxings generally go. But one thing I will say about the sights is that they're not nice sights. They are um, white dot sights there. So let's say if I'm pointing and the decent direction, yeah, it lines up pretty good. No issues there, but still going to end up using the dot. So yeah, this thing is definitely greased up. Feels smooth, but definitely not as tight. Although, love seeing the steel guide rod. Not as tight feeling as the Shadow out the box, but that's also probably why the Shadow has had its own issues regarding what kind of ammo that it prefers to be chambered. But now that, yeah, we checked the slide a few times, let's go ahead and get a feel for the trigger. So we do have it here with the hinge. Definitely some grit, but gets to the wall pretty definedly. And that was a light break. Let's see the reset. So yeah, it's definitely some creep getting back to it from reset. Let's go ahead and show that again. You see there's a little bit of creep there. See, I let it go, get to the wall, but also you get that. That it sounds more crunchy than it is. It feels smooth, but you could definitely tell that there's creep. But break's easy. The break feels really light. I'm gonna have to pause again and grab my yeah. That feels really light. Like this feels like at least out the door. I think it's worthy of calling a pro trigger. It just doesn't have all the smoothness of a competition trigger. Like my Timney Alpha trigger smokes this, even though the pull weight from the wall is very light. Like I could tell that immediately. It just doesn't have all um, the proper type of let's say characteristics moving through the trigger cycle that my Timney Alpha trigger has on my M&P. But to that extent, this is also a trigger that I don't feel like I would change coming from even the Shadow systems, where even though it is a more metallic feeling trigger compared to the polymer one, that's for sure. I can't say for sure whether this is, it doesn't seem like it's polymer, but seems like. But even if it is polymer, let's say it is, yeah, it's still not as well defined, I would say, as far as like, because in the Shadow systems it's kind of more of an even pull. This feels light all around, but it's light enough that you can still tell where the grittiness is, and you can hear it as well. But once you get to the wall, that pull is like, that cannot be argued with. So that being said, let me go ahead and let me show you, and again, let me show you how aggressive this thing is being. But again, I like that. Um, no jokes about that. And let me get my Lyman trigger pull gauge and let's see what we're working with here. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get this started, see what we're working with here. So, bear with me a moment. under 5 pounds. Let's call that 4 3/4. This one was at 5 pounds, maybe an ounce over 5 pounds. So again, it's still one of the lighter types that I've had, as far as feel, or even under the weight itself. It is one of the lighter ones. Uh, Kind of reminded me of the my P10S a bit. This one was at 5 even. So if we were gonna average it around, yeah, it's a 5 pound trigger, but I'll tell you, it feels way lighter than that. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, still 5 pounds. So I mean, I'm starting to get more of a consistent type of reading with it. But it's fascinating to me because, yeah, even though it's still reading at, hovering an ounce above or below 5 pounds, I'm, I'm telling you, if I was going strictly by feel, I would have said it's a 4 pound trigger all day long. So very interesting. So yeah, nothing I wouldn't change there, because even if you're a real Glock shooter and you just want to sweep it all the way through, no issues there. But if you like to present to the wall and then pull, not an issue there either. So a very good trigger out the box. Definitely not perfect, but it's good. Let's say good enough for gunman use. So let's leave that alone. Anything else I could say is that the design is very well appointed, but I want to go ahead and actually let's see how it does with a lockback. Okay, so here's your lockback here. Nothing going on in there. So I will say, let's say, drop the mag and how's the release. I know it's a lock. Smooth. Like, as far as dropping it goes, that little ledge there did make a difference. That little smoothed out ledge on the back of the release there, um, made that a breeze. So I'm not sure if I would say I would want to carry this as far as like my shadow systems is doing duty right now. And I mean, if I want to be pristine about it, the lint that's gonna get in here is gonna be atrocious, because the lint already is everywhere as far as that one goes, and it's actually right over here. So as far as the daily carry goes, be prepared to deal with um, like dust trying to get everywhere. I mean, it's not so bad that even like even from the use at the range, that it's like not marred. It's actually not bad at all. But I mean, you could probably see where I am dealing with dust trying to creep in all over the place, especially around the extractor. That's like the worst. So, I mean, I feel like blowing on it doesn't help at all. It's like, and I'm constantly having to rub on the grid over here because you can see a little bit getting caked up over there. But most things I could run it with a rag, and I'll be just fine. But yeah, this just feels completely smooth and just natural. Just the shadow points ergonomics. I mean, to me, it just fits me super well ever since I boxed it. But I feel like the bull is doing something that's makes me feel a little bit more frisky, a little more like is like the way that I set up my M&Ps is like I want to run it, like, and this gives that feeling. So I will say the vibes are pretty good here. Not to speak about certain ethnic groups, but the pistol itself. Okay, so I'll leave that alone for this point of it. Um, Anything that's off here? Some of these pins look like they're leaning on one side more than the other. That I could tell immediately, but I think that's actually on purpose. This is very much reminding me of my CZP10 as far as its construction and kind of the layout of it. It's pretty funny because for two companies that are completely separate, like CZ and Bull, like they really have nothing to do with each other. But I feel like there's some similarity in how they put these together, like how they go about building their respective firearms. That I'm finding certain similarities with the end result here. So yeah, so the thing is smooth, feels greased up. Probably was definitely fired before, test fired. That is, yeah, just a nice feeling, good looking gun. So let me go ahead and get it fully accessorized, like I did with the Shadow Systems, and give it a little side by side. If you're still sticking around, thank you. All right, feels like long enough for me. Sorry, it's probably winded for you, but DR 920, the Armory X, Bull Armory. So got them both outfitted, same holster, same optic, same light. So you got this one here, you got that one there. So trying to find a better way to have you look at them both. And possibly on top of each other. I don't know, this is kind of weird, but there it is. Okay. So then, if you want it facing the opposite way, sure, why not? There you go. Okay. So, what to say now? Well, I mean, I'll probably still continue with the DR 920 just because of the replacement warranty for carrying it and the comfort from the smoother grip. But the one I really want to shoot is here. It's very interesting because of it is direct mount, but be careful online. There's one quick thing because I spent a lot of time away figuring this out. The screws, 6x32s were for the older models. The newer ones, they go by the 4x40, I believe is the screw size. Maybe it's 4x32. Hang on a quick second. Let me put these down and I'll tell you. But I will say, feels like completely different missions on these two. Okay, excuse me. It's right here. Sorry, had it right the first time. 4x40. So, and that's because they raise kind of like the, I guess the lugs is probably the right word, but basically instead of like you bring the screws, they brought the screw housing up so that it will meet the screws basically within the optic, and you just screw that together so like it's firm. where in the shadow systems is more sitting flush with the slide, so that you get like a full 1/3 co-witness, which I don't have going on with the bull, but the dot's in a good place, and I can still line up my iron sights fine. It just doesn't have that super deep co-witness. It's designed more so to potentially have a firmer grasp between the slide, pushing its housing up for the screws, but I had to use smaller screws, so we'll see how that works out. Which I do have extra that comes from Swamp Fox in my case, but I will say that everything, all the hardware, had to be done through some Swamp Fox. So it wasn't like Shadow Systems where they provide their own screws and um, not a plate, but like a cover. Like they give you everything you need. In this case, Bull Armory makes you do it through whatever the optic manufacturer gives you. So that's what ended up happening, and that's how at least I ended up here. So still good, very easy to work with. It's just super easy to manipulate. It's a like I feel like this firearm is like nothing's gonna happen to it. It feels already broken in, very smooth. I expect nothing less from Armory on the quality. The stippling is fantastic, and the grips where I was concerned feels just right, and everything else came together well with the accessories. So this is how I'm gonna run it, and this not gonna make my immediate. Well, it will make my rotation, but it won't immediately go through what the shadow systems went through, where I had to bend it in shape and get various different types of ammo. This one seems like 124, maybe even 115 is good to go. So, yeah, this is it. And if you want it from your point of view, there you go. Let me bring it over to that side to the camera. There you go. So, as usual, any questions, concerns, comments, leave it down below. Racism and jokes are allowed, but at your own caution. Didn't mean to point it at you. Not like I work for Mossad. If I did, you wouldn't know it. But that being said, yeah, feel free to cut the floor, do what you do. I think I said my piece for everything. Um, if you want to talk about the magwell, that's all well and good, but it's more, at least, stand out to me that the cutouts was integrated well with the magazine. So it's like those final touches, those finishing touches, is like um, engineering went into this that I could appreciate with even with the being able to drop the slide. There's just little touches here that you could just see visually that just makes this just a genuinely nice firearm. Like minus some like silver and gold or platinum or chrome that may come with the upper tier of things. Um, on its own merit, yeah, this feels like a solid piece of what I've always considered bull armor to be, is kind of like firearms jewelry. So not so pretty that you can't run it. It'll definitely run, but um, definitely a smooth operator. It feels like so far. So don't feel the need to really break it in as much crunch time as I put into the Shadow 2, the Shadow systems. Excuse me. You won't see a Shadow 2 on this on this channel, unfortunately or fortunately. But if you're a regular viewer, I still got my weigh in. Still got the 02 Delta Zero Zulu 2, excuse me, going on there, the weigh in, and I'm gonna do a year follow up on my safe. So I actually might record that soon. But I'm trying to think of anything else that I might have left out. But nope, I just got some paperwork to do and some fondling of a new firearm. So pretty cool. And I will say the beaver tail is not as pronounced as it may be look by itself. So it just feels comfortable. It doesn't overly stand out. So yeah, nice. Nice. Thanks for your time. See ya.